It's been about a year since I did an update video on the farm truck. Um, Pretty crazy. I have so many other things going on. Another YouTube channel also that's way bigger than this one. And yeah, I'm just always busy. So I actually haven't really done much to it since the last time I updated. But what I'm going to do now is I'm getting ready to clean up the engine bay, take care of some wire problems, tape them up, paint the engine, paint the engine bay, get some matte black, just rattle can paint. I'm going to paint the engine bay and Chevy orange for the engine. I already have started disassembling a little bit to get ready to clean this up. And let's turn the camera around and show you what's going on. If you haven't seen this truck before, here it is. It's something that was my uncle's, and he passed away before he ever got finished putting it together. And then it ended up being mine. So I am just kind of cleaning it up and making it just a little bit nicer. I will be painting the truck, hopefully within the next couple weeks. The paint job that's on it is not very good, and the body work is also not very good. So keep an eye out for those videos. So I've already started to rip stuff apart in here. I'll throw up a little picture of what it looked like before I got started, just so you can see that. Nothing real special. Last night before I left, I sprayed down the engine with some degreaser. And one of the reasons for doing this is that the valve covers leak. And so I have a gasket set that's showing up today. And I figured, hey, if I'm going to do that, I should clean it up and make it look better. So you can see it's pretty grungy. Looks worse with degreaser on it than it looked before. I'm going to pull that distributor out of there. Before I do that, though, I'm going to pull the cap. I'm going to mark where the rotor is pointing so that the timing will be correct when I put it back in. Won't have to fool around too much. I'm going to take an air hose to this now and just kind of dry it off, and then I'm going to hit it with brake clean and then pop the valve covers off. And what I meant when I said paint the engine bay, you can see that the firewall is green. That must have been the original color of the cab. And I'm going to paint that just matte black. Also, this used to be an AC truck. And so I'm going to be popping this off of here. I'm going to keep my eye out for a non-AC heater box and replace that. And I might even, just for now, remove it and just put a block off panel on there, because I don't even have the heater connected right now. It's just looped right here. And I'm not going to need it for the foreseeable future. I'm not sure if I'll ever even drive this in the winter, but I'll want it anyways, just for, you know, defrosting the windshield if it fogs up or whatever. All right, let's get going. All right, progress is being made. I ended up stripping down a little bit more than I had originally planned. I wasn't going to pull the alternator and power steering pump and all that. I'm just trying to freshen it up, make it look, you know, not so junky, make it look like something that looks good under the hood. I also popped off the heater box. We got some unwanted guests that have been living in there. That's not a surprise. And I really like that not being there. Like, that thing stuck out to like here, and it's just, I don't need it, really. So I'm probably gonna end up blocking that off. But for now, it's moving along. I have a decision to make here. Like I said, I'm definitely popping the valve covers because I gotta change the gaskets anyways, and it's gonna be easier to clean those up and get them painted off the engine. But I bought a head gasket kit because it was only 35 bucks for a complete head gasket kit. It's a Felpro kit, got it from AutoZone. It's supposed to be arriving, I don't know, any minute now. And so that has intake manifold gaskets as well. And I'm tempted to just pull the intake and replace the gaskets while I'm here. I don't like the job somebody else did. Like, I know you need to use silicone. I mean, there's no question about it on the ends. You don't use it everywhere. But it's really sloppy. And I'm also seeing that the valve covers have silicone on them. And like, that's a big no-no. Like, you don't do that with cork gaskets. You don't use a cork gasket and silicone. So that makes me think that anything that this person touched probably isn't correct. And I'm not going to be using this truck a lot, but I don't like the idea of, you know, being in line somewhere and having the intake manifold start leaking, you know, or anything like that. So I think I'm going to pop the intake manifold. Like, why not? I'm already right here. There's not many more bolts. I wasn't going to go this far with this thing as it is, but once I start playing with these things, it's like, oh, you know what? Just pop another nut here, another bolt here, and this comes off. And so why not keep going? So I think that's what I'm going to do. Oh, the other thing is that I'm pretty sure these valve covers can go on either way, that you can turn them. And I don't like where the oil fill is on this. Like, that's a really awkward spot to get under here. And I actually question if that's even correct to begin with. This engine isn't actually from this truck. This is out of like a Camaro or something. So I think I'm going to turn it around. I'll put the PVC back here, and I'll put the oil fill up here where it's easy to get to when I put it back on. That's if I'm right that the valve covers don't matter. I'm not 100% sure that you can reverse them. I know you can flip them from one side to the other, but I don't know if you can reverse them for sure. Kind of looking at the angle of it, the end of it, and it looks like maybe it's not totally symmetrical, so maybe you can't flip it like that, but we'll see. As you might have guessed, I decided to pull the intake, and I'm glad I did because the bolts weren't even tight. There was the back corner over there was like finger tight. I put the ratchet on it and it didn't even do anything. The valve covers were like that too, but that's typical. The gaskets start to collapse and the bolts loosen up. But one thing that is very odd is just how clean this engine is on the inside. Like, it's strangely clean. And you can see that they had the valve covers off when they had last painted the heads or the whole engine or something. And it wasn't run much after that because all the paint is still there. Like, I would have thought that would have burned off by now or something. So I could be wrong about that, but yeah, that tells me that somebody had done some work on this engine not that long ago, or maybe a long time in time, but in time on the engine, I don't think it was used much after they did all the work. So now I got to clean up those parts, get some paint on them, and continue on. So I've got the valve covers and the intake manifold mostly cleaned up. Just use some sandpaper and just kind of scuffed them up. Nothing too crazy. Like, I don't even know how long I'm gonna use these valve covers or the manifold, but here's the paint I've got. I'm gonna slap on there and see how that does. Just got some really irritating news though. I was supposed to get that gasket kit today, and just like what happens to me every time I order anything, I went and checked the tracking and it won't be here till Monday. Today's Saturday. So that kind of ticks me off. I might even go see if I can just buy the kit locally, even if it costs more, and tell them keep it, because that just happens all the time and it's just really irritating. So now I'm gonna put some paint on and see what happens. Got the paint all on. I'm actually quite happy with how it came out. This is really gonna brighten up that engine bay. This plug here, this hose and thing, that's going to come off, and I'll put a little cap on that, just cap it off. But yeah, that's going to really brighten it up. Things are looking pretty good. The engine looks great. Like, that really brightened it up a lot. And so now I am going to cover up the engine and get working on the firewall. So I got to clean all that up, scuff it up pretty good. I'll cover up stuff as best as I can, and then we'll get some matte black paint on it, and probably end up doing maybe the brake booster, maybe just clean up everything in here and continue on. So it's easy to get to the firewall right now with the engine being the top end being all apart. I can get to the whole firewall back there and clean all that up really good. Don't know if I mentioned this already, but I ended up just going to Advance Auto and getting a head gasket set for it there, because AutoZone or FedEx, one of them dropped the ball and didn't get me my overnight gaskets like they said they would. Now it's saying it's going to show up like Thursday or Friday or something like that. So when they show up, I'm just going to return them to the store. But all right, I'm going to get going on this. I haven't been showing the actual work. I've just been showing the progress step by step. I hope that doesn't make it a boring video, but yeah, I've been using my phone for recording, and then I've been using my phone for music while I actually do the work. And I can't do both at the same time. And I want to listen to music while I do my work. So, sorry, but in this video, you're probably not going to see me actually work. You're just going to see updates as we go. Got the firewall all painted. Pretty happy with how it came out. Also did the brake booster while I was at it. At some point I'll do the inner fenders, both sides, and the rest of the lines I'll probably just paint black as well. But one thing I wanted to point out is that I'm super impressed with this stuff. It sprayed really nice. It's like a really thick paint for a spray paint, and it is super black too. Like it's darker black, I think, than what I'm used to seeing. I can see a little area right here that I missed in the brake booster, so I'll hit that real quick and just touch that up. But I'm not trying to do like a spectacular job or anything. I'm just trying to clean it up in here, and that's coming along pretty good. So right now I'm gonna drop the distributor back in there and start wiring it up. I bought some wires. These were like 45 bucks. Pretty cheap really for wires. You have to cut one end and put on the end that goes on the distributor cap. And so I am gonna get started on doing that. So seeing how I'm not actually showing all the steps, I thought this might be some helpful information for somebody who's watching this and is ever gonna work on something like this. These old vehicles are obviously pretty easy to work on, but so one little tip. So when I pulled this distributor, I had paid attention to what plug on it was the number 1 cylinder. And so this is the number 1 cylinder wire, which went to the plug for this port of the intake, which is the first one here. And then I looked at it to see, you got your firing order right here. So it's 184-36572. And so knowing that firing order, you got to find your next plug, which is 8, which is this back corner. And that one was right here, which verified to me, which I already thought, but I didn't know it for sure, is that the rotor spins clockwise on the inside. And so I was able to, figure that out based on that. And because of knowing where 1 is and knowing the direction that it spins and having the firing order and having every cylinder actually marked, which is really nice, it's easy to figure out where all your wires go. And I'd also marked where the rotor was. After I pulled the cap, I marked where the rotor was on the side here. And so when I put the distributor back in, I put the rotor back where it was. That way I don't have to worry about finding top dead cylinder. Top dead compression stroke cylinder of number 1. So that's all there is to that. So I'm going to start putting these wires on now. Wires are done. Look pretty good. I ended up, I didn't have like the standoffs and everything. So I just used some wire ties to just kind of neaten it up. And honestly, if those hold up and don't melt or break, I don't see any reason to not just leave it like that. Everything's nice and far away from the manifolds. Looks good to me. Now I'm going to throw a new fuel pump on there. And also I got to replace the dipstick tube for the transmission. This one, the dipstick is kind of missing. It's in there, but it falls down in. And this was 20 bucks at AutoZone, so why not? So, time to put on the fuel pump. Put this on. Getting close. Finally, after a lot more time than I thought it was going to take to get this job done, I am ready to start it up and see if it runs. It's going to take a while to start it up for the first time because the carburetor's been drained. I've put a new fuel filter on it, fuel pump, line. So it's going to take a while before it gets fuel. But let's turn the camera around and I'll show you where we're at. So this is what it looks like now. I think it is way better than it was. And when I get the inner fenders done, it'll look even better. But I'm pretty happy with that. You can see that I did turn, you couldn't turn valve covers around, but you can flip them from side to side, like I said. And so now the oil fills over here. I need to get a new cap though, because that metal, or the rubber all dried up on that. And I'm gonna get a breather for over there. I bought one, but it's too big in diameter. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it looks. I'm gonna be customizing the box to get rid of the AC. I'll see how I feel about cutting up the box, and then I'll make my own plate, and we'll see how that goes. But it's like 180 bucks for a delete cover, and if I can do it myself in a short amount of time, then I'm not really gonna pay that kind of money. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. What else is there I can tell you? Probably nothing. So let's just go ahead and try to start it. We'll see. I have not tried at all yet. Hopefully the battery terminals are nice and tight. Let's do it. You can see the interior is not terrible. I've already done some work in here. I repainted a lot of stuff, cleaned it all up. But I don't like the white. It's not going to stay this way. I'm going to completely redo it. But let's see if it starts. I don't know why I'm pumping the pedal. There's no gas up there. See oil pressure come up. That's good. I kind of expected it to take a while. There's no fuel in it. Oh, you hear that? That's a good sign. Just give it a little pump. The choke isn't hooked up either, so it's a little bit harder to start. it until it dies. Pedal it a little. So it's not going to idle right off the bat. We'll just see if it... Sometimes they like to catch if you just leave it alone. Nope, didn't work. Let's just make sure there's nothing like terribly wrong going on here. Not seeing any leaks yet. A little steam coming off the manifold. That's to be expected with all the cleaning I did. Not seeing anything. Like, this is just looped back up here. I didn't want to have to disconnect the lines back here to put the new heater core in. This way I can pull these lines up and away from the engine and not get coolant everywhere. I hate the idea of doing all that work to just cover it in coolant when I go to take the lines off. Like, there's no real way of not having coolant go everywhere. So that's going to work out sweet. You can see my fuel filter is down there. I'm not seeing any leaks anywhere. Nothing's dripping. Oh, and I also put the new dipstick in for the transmission. That's kind of a pain in the butt. But everything looks good. I don't know what this... Oh, that's an old wire tie. I'm gonna cut that off. All right, let's start it up again. The timing sounds perfect. That's a good thing. It does idle once it warms up. See, there's not a whole lot of gas in it either. So close. Hey, it's idling. And it's steaming. Well, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to follow along on this build, make sure you subscribe. I'm going to be doing a complete paint job on this vehicle. Probably wheels, tires, fix it up. Probably custom interior. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I figured why not make this a nice truck? I mean, I already own it, so why not make it better? And I don't really want to hang out in the garage much longer because It's full of exhaust fumes and smoke, and it stinks. So until next time, I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching.